Well, that's about as miserable of a Sunday in September as you can have. You are in the jungle. I'm Matt Edwards. The jungle, not a happy place to be today. Imagine if, unfortunately, you were in the unfortunate position of being in a coma. You're in a coma. You wake up and I tell you, hey, Steelers-Bengals just finished up. Bengals had 165 more yards than Pittsburgh. Bengals had 432 total yards. Steelers just 267. The Bengals only had half the penalties the Steelers had. Steelers had 8. The Bengals had 4. Oh, and by the way, the Cincinnati Bengals dominated the clock. Time of possession, Bengals 44 minutes, Steelers 26 minutes. And they converted double the amount of thirds down Pittsburgh did, despite only going for it on third down or having one more third down attempt than them. You would shake your comb off a little bit and you would say, oh, how much did they win by? Was it 41-10? Did they murder them? Did they embarrass them? No, that's not what happened. Just an ugly afternoon, goes to overtime. Today sucked. You wish it would have been against an NFC opponent. Last year, the bad losses to the Bears and the Jets, at least not a divisional opponent that you hate with all of your heart. But this one had to come against the Steelers on a particularly annoying Steelers day where their coach gives them the all-black sneakers and their guys come out thinking they're tough, and Minkah Fitzpatrick is being the scumbag he is, and so is TJ Watt. Today sucked. That said, after the smoke settled, about an hour after the game, after I felt the rage finally pour out of me, I thought nothing really changes about how I feel about this team. I still feel the same about this team as I did prior to 1 o'clock today. Maybe they did have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. Maybe they needed to wake up a bit. Maybe they got a little too impressed with themselves. That happens. That happens to all of us. Everyday life, you get good at something, you don't try as hard. Maybe it didn't happen. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but what I do know is all the mistakes we saw today, they're all things that I think the Bengals can clean up immediately. Whatever led to Joe Burrow playing the first half like a quarterback we don't know, it's like the ghost of David Klingler came out today. Whatever led to that, I'm not worried about Joe Burrow. I'm not worried about number 9. He's going to be just fine. Clearly very upset after the game, Jeremy Rao, friend of the show from Fox 19, reported that Burrow was the last guy in the Bengals locker room just sitting there staring at the wall well after everyone else had left. You've activated psycho mode in Joe Burrow. You poke the lion. Well, poke the tiger, I guess, would have been the better comparison there. Burrow's going to be fine. The offensive line should get better. Not as worried about that. I should say I'm more worried about them than Burrow, but they should get better. They also are not going to face another defensive line as good as what they saw today. The Steelers' defensive line, just outstanding. I hate complimenting them, but you look at Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, maybe the best 1-2 combo in the league. Alex Highsmith played out of his mind today. You're just not going to see a better defensive front than that. And TJ Watt probably not going to be around when they play again. We'll get to that a little later. Joe Burrow, 33 of 53, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns in the freaking 4 interceptions, a career high. Jamar Chase, 10 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. The quietest 129 yards you ever heard. I mean, he just nickels and dimes you all day long. And that's without him really having a bomb today. But it's the 5 turnovers, the 4 interceptions, and the fumbles. It's going to kill you every single time. According to the CBS broadcast, not since 2012 has a team lost a turnover differential since by 5 or more and still won the game. I butchered that a little bit. Let me say it again. According to CBS, last time a team lost a turnover differential by 5 or more and still won the game was 2012. The Bengals would have done it today if not for an injury to their long snapper. Again, this is a really good team that had a really bad day. A really, really, really bad day. 5 turnovers, gonna kill you every time. Had to knock some rust off. It sucks, but it's one game. Joe Burrow's talked about that. If you saw the feature with him on Kurt Warner today, or feature that he did with Kurt Warner, I'm all discombobulated when I record this at night, and I'm still trying to shake off all the tension and rage that just wants to pour out of me. Kurt Warner did a piece with Joe Burrow on NFL Network that I tuned in. By the way, the Bengals public relations page does a good job of letting you know when those features are coming on so you don't have to sit there and watch Michael Irvin yell at you for an hour just to see 3 minutes of Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow told Kurt Warner that essentially the Super Bowl loss sucked, but it's one game. Kind of the same situation here. Well, not the same situation at all because it's not the Super Bowl. But it's one game. It's against the Steelers. It sucks, but this is a team that's going to bounce back. You throw interceptions. Those happen. Peyton Manning threw 6 picks in a game once, and that was 2007. That was not rookie Peyton Manning. Good players have bad games. Joe Burrow did it today. Eli Manning, I mean, he used to throw 4 interceptions every other week, and he won 2 Super Bowls. Joe Burrow is going to be all right. Again, I feel no different about this team after the loss than I did prior to kickoff today when I picked them to go 12-5. You're going to have bad days. That's the NFL. This will not be the last bad Bengals loss this year. I hope it is, but in all likelihood, it's not going to be the last bad loss they have this year. They happen to every team. They happened to the Bengals twice last year. I mean, the Bears and Jets game, holy cow. Those are 2 really bad teams, and the Bengals lost to them and went to the Super Bowl. You're going to have speed bumps. This isn't college football where you get to go 12-0 and 11-1 every year. And that's not to say it doesn't suck, especially when it comes against a team you absolutely despise and a team whose number we thought the Bengals had at this point after winning 3 in a row against them. It stinks. It'll happen to other teams. Buffalo's going to have rough patches. Kansas City, although I don't know. Kansas City looked pretty good. So did Buffalo for that matter. Maybe they won't. But this Bengals team, this is still Joe Burrow's 3rd NFL season. It's his most normal offseason. Things are going to take time. It's 5 new starters on offense, the 4 offensive linemen, and Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst, by the way, made some plays. That's something to be excited about. So, all right, back to your coma. So you learn that after this coma, you learn that, well, actually a guy got hurt in this game, and if not for that, the Bengals almost certainly win this game. You might have said, oh, was it Joe Burrow? Did Joe Burrow get hurt? My God, not again. No, it wasn't Joe Burrow. Was it Ted Karras or Alex Kappa, one of the new linemen? No, not one of them. Jamar Chase, maybe DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson, Evan McPherson. Don't tell me money. No, none of those guys. It was Clark Harris, the long snapper, the beloved long snapper, by the way, but the long snapper. He tried to make a tackle on a punt on special teams, leads to a biceps injury, which meant that Mitchell Wilcox, the 3rd-string tight end, becomes the long snapper. That led to a field goal being shanked and a point-after attempt that would have won the game being blocked after Joe Burrow found Jamar Chase with 2 seconds left on the clock. Brutal, man. Brutal. Like I said, it's just not the Bengals' day. Not the Bengals' day, no doubt about that. And I'll say, too, you can give the Steelers coaching staff especially some credit. Brian Flores, I forgot he was on that staff till they showed him in the booth. I mean, he's certainly the best defensive coach who isn't either a head coach or a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He might be the defensive coordinator on that team. We remember what Terrell Austin was like. There's no way that team plays that well without Brian Flores up there and Mike Tomlin, too. I mean, 2 of the best defensive minds in football with those pieces. I mean, it is what it is. The Steelers are good at this. Mike Tomlin's good at finding ways for this team to win in September. They beat the Bills in Week 1 last year. You're going to have rough days. This was one of them. They knew what they had to do to have a shot in this game. That's another thing. I thought that was a place where the Steelers really showed a lot of respect to the Bengals in that they knew they couldn't come out and go blow for blow with them. They knew they had to play great defense, try to play keep away, and not give the game away. And they didn't do that. And credit to them for not doing that, but, at the end of the day, if the Bengals have just 3 turnovers instead of 5, I think they win by 10 points. But what's the phrase? If candies and I don't know what it is. There's a more inappropriate one about aunts and uncles, but it's a Sunday. I won't drop that one. So the Bengals didn't get any breaks. Sometimes you need a break. They didn't get one today. The Steelers got a lot of them. We did mention Clark Harris. He goes down. That's not a break, obviously. We'll see what the latest is with him. The Jamar Chase catch. It appeared he was across the goal line. The ref was right there. I don't know. There's not a great angle of that catch. There's one where it certainly looks like he's over, but it's also at the angle where, of course, it's going to look like he's over. Zach Taylor said after the game they did not have a good look at it from the sideline, so they didn't challenge. He acknowledged that they should have challenged it. Again, a lot of things had to go wrong for the Bengals to lose at the buzzer. And maybe they get a guy from now on, hey, keep an eye on things up top. You're going all this great stuff in Cincinnati. Maybe have a guy that says, oh, yeah, you got to challenge that one, and we are 1-0 now instead of 0-1. The Bengals also snapped the punt right before Pittsburgh went down to kick the game winner. They snapped that punt with 15 seconds still left on the clock. there's Jed DeMusi and I were talking about this after the game, frequent guest of the show, and he pretty much said, the argument, there's one argument which he brought up, which is give Mitchell Trubisky the ball in his own territory, count on them to go 3 and out, and see if you can get it back with 20 seconds left, throw a shot or two. There's that argument. Zach Taylor says after the game, they expected Pittsburgh to try to block that punt, so they were hoping to catch them off guard. Pittsburgh's thinking they're going to run it all the way down, so they snap it with 15 seconds, maybe do it with like 8 or 10. I don't know. At any rate, he's saying with the long snapping situation and already having a PAT blocked, they wanted to catch the Steelers off guard, give Kevin Huber time to get it away. Of course, he did. But then Mitchell Trubisky gets a free play, fires one downfield to Pat Freiermuth after Sam Hubbard goes offsides. You know what happened after that. Only the Pittsburgh Steelers get lucky enough to win a game because the opposing long snapper gets hurt. The one guy you really can't replace and don't expect to need to replace because he's in the game for like 6 or 7 plays. Rough one out there. Again, just the Bengals had a great run from December, January to February. Sometimes you're due for a little bad luck. And trust me, if you listen to this podcast, you know I'm not saying the Bengals got where they got. No one gets to the Super Bowl because of good luck. No one wins the AFC North or beats the Chiefs twice in January or leads the Super Bowl at the 2-minute warning because of good luck. But when you play really well for a while, it's kind of that way in life, right? When things are going well for a while, you're due for a little bad luck. And today the Bengals had a whole lot of bad luck. Let's hope they got it all out of the way in one fell swoop. Injuries, I mentioned there, Clark Harris. T. Higgins goes out with a concussion after King Turd Minkah Fitzpatrick involved in sandwiching him after Higgins was clearly already going down. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I don't know if he caused the injury, but he certainly does enough of that cheap stuff where you can kind of go ahead and blame him. He kind of seems to always find a way to finagle his way in there and just do something dirty. Steelers always have a king turd, by the way. They've always got a guy, a really talented guy, but it's just unbearable as a human being. It was Hines Ward forever, Joey Porter, James Harrison. I mean, they try to play up this, hey, we're such a classic traditional franchise with our Lombardi trophies and our blue-collar attitude. No, you're a bunch of dirtbags. You've always just had some scumbucket on the team who is out for blood and being dirty every time they can. We'll get to TJ Watt in a second, by the way. But to me right now, since he's going to be the only one on the field, it is Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's just a child on the field. You saw how he acted throughout the game. I mean, and I'm not saying, hey, the Bengals have had a few of those in their day too, but not as many as the Steelers, not nearly as many as Pittsburgh's had. So hopefully T. Higgins is back sooner than later. He only played like a quarter. He had 2 nice catches for 27 yards, a very nice third down pickup. And now we can get to TJ Watt, who on that pick 6, I believe the second play that the Bengals had the ball, very bad throw from Joe Burrow. Minkah Fitzpatrick gets it, takes it back. And TJ Watt, the CBS cameras show, he tries to, and he does, blindside block, doesn't get him square. It could have been bad. But he gives a little blindside to Joe Burrow. Burrow was fine. Watt later left with a pectoral injury after he shoved La'el Collins' helmet off. Look, I'm not rooting for anyone to get hurt. I don't want to see that happen. I really don't. But I do root for karma. What goes around comes around. And in back-to-back years, TJ Watt, well after the play, has gone after the Bengals' franchise quarterback. So I'm not going to feel bad if he doesn't play again this year. What goes around comes around. TJ Watt, he's got the blonde hair and the nice little stubble and the cute Midwest smile. That apparently, I mean, if Vontaze, that's the thing. I'm not going to bring up Vontaze Burfict. If you've listened to enough episodes, you've probably heard me say, I do not like Vontaze Burfict. I wanted the Bengals to get rid of him. I do not want to root for a team that employs people like that. But there's a lot of guys out there. I mean, Aaron Donald now, who, again, we don't like in Cincinnati, but it just kind of seems like TJ Watt gets a free pass on this stuff. He had the time where he was punching the ball a million times. I think maybe that was against Tennessee. And then last year, after the play throws Burrow to the ground, no one does anything. Today, just a little shot, after the pick that, again, Burrow was fine, but it was completely unnecessary. Cam Hayward standing right there. He doesn't go after anyone. He's a dirty player, and that's fine. Those guys exist. The Steelers always have a couple. So I'm not going to feel bad, though. Part of, what goes around comes around. I'll leave it at that. Because I really don't root for injuries, but I do root for karma. And TJ Watt got a taste of it today. The Bengals are going to see a lot of this stuff when they go back to watch the shots between Minkah and TJ Watt. And when Cincinnati goes to Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football on November 20th, you can be guaranteed there will be some retaliation. So we'll see what happens there. And the Bengals need to do that too, by the way. They are the big dogs in the North now. They will need to win at Pittsburgh in November. And I believe by then the Bengals will have that rust knocked off. And the Steelers are probably going to be exposed to be the incompetent offense unless they go, 2000s Ravens and can hold every team without a touchdown for the next 3 months. They're 500 at best. That's just the way it is. Trubisky was rookie Ben Roethlisberger today. I actually don't know what his numbers are, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but I don't need to know what his numbers were. Anyone who watched the game could tell they were holding back, and that's fine. That's what he is. He is a high-tier backup quarterback who your job in that position is to come in and not make mistakes. That's what he did. 21 of 38, 192 yards, and 1 touchdown thrown. It's what you're supposed to do, and that's what he did. And again, credit to him and the coaching staff. They figured out a way to beat a team that is far better than them. So, is what it is. And then the other argument, and it's not one that we need to talk about again for a while, but maybe you should have played some of these guys in the preseason. You wish this game would have came against Dallas or an NFC team that doesn't hurt as bad in the standings. But an offensive line that's never played together, I'm not saying play Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase in the preseason. I wouldn't have played Evan McPherson in the preseason. But an offensive line that's never played together, and it showed early on. Cordell Volson, who had a rude awakening, and we can give him a pass because he's a 4th-round rookie going up against Cam Hayward. You can't expect too many great things to happen there. If anything, the Bengals coaching staff got to not put him in those situations. So, but maybe if you're opening against a division foe and it's important, and these guys have never played together, get them a little action. And Lyle Collins was hurt. I think Alex Kappa was banged up a little bit. Maybe that wasn't an option, but it's just a tough way to start, man. And you sit here and you kind of search for all the answers because it sucks losing a division game. It really sucks losing a division game when you know you're the better team. And it really, really, really sucks losing a division game when you know the Bengals are the better team and it's against the Steelers, who you just have hated your whole life. So, yeah. At the end of the day, I don't feel any different about this team than I did yesterday. I'm still certain the Steelers will not win this division. At best, they're a 9-8 team, and I'm still very confident the Bengals are a 12-5 team. By the way, 3 of last year's Final Four teams, 0-1. Rams, Bengals, 49ers, all lost today, or all lost this week, I should say. It sucks, but that's how it works. To quote Aaron Rodgers, who was also 0-1, by the way, the great Aaron Rodgers, the 2-time defending MVP, relax. Chill out. It'll be fine. We'll wake up again tomorrow, and the Bengals go to Dallas next week with a shot to, take out a little, take out a little frustration at Jerry World. All right, that's all I got for you tonight. It's about, 20 minutes here, so we'll see, man. Frustrating afternoon, but, I mean, you turn the ball over 5 times, you're not going to win. And that's what the Bengals did, and again, to play that bad and still lose because your long snapper got hurt, I think that says a lot about how good this team is going forward. So, yeah, that'll be that. We'll be back on Thursday. I plan to have a guest. I'm not going to say who it is because I have not asked them to do it yet. We'll preview the Cowboys then. It's going to be fun. 0-1, it stinks, but brighter days are ahead, right? Definitely, right. Okay, I'm Matt Edwards. If you like the show, give it a 5-star rating. Share it with a friend. Follow me on Twitter if you want, @MattEdwards. Go into my mentions and look at the Steelers fans. What a unfortunate-looking bunch of creatures they are. That'll be, at least you can take some solace in that. You might not have got the win, but you're also not them. Okay, it's In the Jungle. We'll see you again on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in.